everyone. My name is Greg Berman. I am the other half of Show and Teller, and I have decided that I am going to read the Torah in its entirety, start to finish, on camera for you. I'll probably do it 15, 20 minutes at a time. I don't know exactly how long that'll take, but I suppose we'll see. And I'm really excited about it. I've never read the Torah all the way through. Of course, I've heard different parshas, and in working with Rabbi Teller, I've heard a lot about the Torah. But I decided, you know what? I should read the book. I should read the whole book. And I think it'll be very interesting. Here are the goals that I hope to get from this. I'm not doing this as like a publicity stunt or something like, local comedian reads Torah. I don't think that's necessarily respectful. I'm doing it from a scholarly approach, from a truly curious, I want to know what this book actually says from start to finish in English, a language that I'm more familiar with than Hebrew. And I'm probably going to have questions, and some things might not make sense. Some things might feel out of touch, I guess. I don't know. But I'm just going to be open to it and just see what comes from it. I'm going to, after each episode, I'm going to jot down some thoughts and ideas and questions I might have. And then maybe every now and then I will sit down with Rabbi Teller and we'll record an episode where I can ask him those questions and reference those points directly, and we can have a discussion about it. But my goal is to approach this from a very respectful, thought-provoking, and genuinely curious person who has never read the Torah, reading the Torah. And I want to take you on a journey with me. There's probably going to be times where I'm going to be kind of bored by it. It's possible, there's definitely some points of this that I'm not going to have as much to say, and maybe some points where I'll have a lot to say. I don't know. So I guess we're going to discover that together. So Rabbi Teller has given me this incredible copy of this book, and I'm just going to dive into it. I should have my timer set, but I didn't set it. We're just gonna go for it. And there's some below each section, there's like some commentary already listed, and some of that commentary might answer some of the questions that I have as I'm reading it. So, if we ever need to refer to that commentary, we can do that. But I don't want to go into it with anything other than just sheer curiosity to better understand the divine, I don't want to call it rule book, but the divine structure of the belief system that I have lived with my whole life. I think that'll be interesting. So here goes nothing. This is the official start of it. Let me just see what time it is to make sure. Okay. All right. Let's dive in. In the beginning of God's creating the heaven and the earth, when the earth was astonishingly empty, with darkness upon the surface of the deep, and the divine presence hovered upon the surface of the waters, God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. God saw that the light was good. I've heard, obviously this is like one of the most famous things about, the book is let there be light, right? But reading it here and just seeing and God saw the light and he thought it was good. It has this really fun sort of like hey, I'm onto something here. Wait a minute. I appreciate that. But it's the way it's written too. God saw the light was good. It's good stuff. And then God separated between the light and the darkness. God called to the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning, one day. Man, even just that little paragraph, there's just so much there. Like even the fact that he labeled them right away. You know, he didn't just create something and then just like create it. He labeled it right away. He was like, this is now day and this is night. Like he was like, we're going to have to label some things so that we know how to discuss them and communicate them, which I guess implies the idea that he's already thinking about the idea of communication, right? Because if he had to call it something, then he imagines he'll have to say that to someone, or someone will have to talk about it with someone else. So it's almost as if when he created light and dark, he already had intended for there to be a reason to discuss them. And then this whole evening and morning thing is kind of interesting. It almost like leads to the idea of everything between light and dark, because evening is leading up to night and then morning is immediately following light. That's interesting. Let's read on. God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate between water and water." So God made the firmament and separated between the waters which were beneath the firmament and the waters which were above the firmament. Okay, imagine firmament is ground. And it was so. Oh, no. God called to the firmament heaven, and there was evening and there was a morning, a second day. So the firmament is heaven. Interesting. God said, "Let the waters beneath the heaven be gathered into one area, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called to the dry land earth, and to the gathering of waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. He's like, I am on a roll. That light thing, that was dope. Firmament, heaven, super cool. Let's make some water and let's make some land. I love it. God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, herbage yielding seed, fruit trees yielding fruit, each after its kind, containing its own seed on the earth." And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, herbage yielding seed after its kind, and trees yielding fruit, each containing its seed after its kind. And God saw that it was good. He's like, I am crushing it. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day. Okay, so I'm really starting to catch on to the repetition here. Like, you know, he said, let there be this thing. And then we have a whole nother sentence. They're like, and then this thing was a thing. And then, you know, the evening and the morning thing is interesting, how he keeps saying that after creating each thing. I'm going to have to talk to Rabbi Teller about that, because that doesn't seem like a coincidence. That feels very specific. We read on. God said, let there be luminaries in the firmament of the heaven to separate between the day and the night, and they shall serve as signs, and for festivals, and for days and years, and they shall serve as luminaries in the firmament of the heaven to shine upon the earth. And it was so. And God made the two great luminaries, the greater luminary to dominate the day, and the lesser luminary to dominate the night, and the stars. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, to dominate by day and by night, and to separate between the light and the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. Okay? The sun is the greater firmament, the greater luminary, and the moon as the lesser luminary. Interesting to... They're not just, yeah, like they're definitely one is hierarchically better than the other. That's interesting. What about other planets? I mean, it's all so centered around the idea of Earth. Because what about other planets that have many luminaries? or other constellations or solar systems that have multiple greater and lesser luminaries, multi-star solar systems. Because assuming he created the universe, he created everything, not just Earth, not just this planet, but everything. And the way that he's talking about it here, it's pretty specific. So, okay. God said, "Let the waters teem with teeming living creatures and fowl that fly and fowl that fly about over the earth across the expanse of the heavens. And God created the great sea giants and every living being that creeps, with which the waters teemed after their kinds, and all winged fowl of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the sea, but the fowl shall increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning, a fifth day." All right. He blessed them. That's the first time he's blessed anything. The other things he just kind of created, but this, he blessed them. Be fruitful and multiply, he says to these creatures. It's the first instruction that he's given to anyone about anything. He didn't instruct the vegetation, although it's alive. Okay. I had to ask the rabbi about that. God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures, each according to its kind, animal and creeping being, and beast of the land, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the beast of the earth according to its kind, and the animal according to its kind, and every creeping being of the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. I love that. I love that. God saw that it was good. I wonder if, like maybe he made the creeping on one of the days. He saw it and he was like, this is all right. This isn't good. I feel like I could have done a little better here. But he's a perfect being, so everything is good. So even his own acknowledgement of whatever it is that he has created and offering the concept that it was good is interesting, because he's a perfect being and he knows that. So wouldn't he assume it was good? So why is he constantly reaffirming it? Interesting. Saw that it was good. It wasn't meh. It was good. And I wonder if that's almost like a little bit of a lesson there. I mean, we're very early into this thing, but it's this lesson of when you create, you look back at your creation and you say, it was good. Whether or not, that changes down the road, maybe doesn't matter. Maybe when you create something, it was good. It was good. And whatever comes from that later, depending on all the other things, because he's going to create more stuff. And whatever he creates from here on might alter that opinion later. I don't know. But at the time, he saw it, and it was good. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. They shall rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the sky, and over the animal, the whole earth, and every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply." He said that to the animals earlier. Now he's saying it to them. Second command to something. "Fill the earth and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, the bird of the sky, and every living thing that moves on the earth." God said, "Behold, I have given to you all herbage yielding seed that is on the surface of the entire planet, and every tree that has seed yielding fruit, it shall be yours for food. And to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the sky, and to everything that moves on the earth, within which there is a living soul, every green herb is for food." And it was so. And God saw all that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Okay. He was like proud. He had reached magnum opus. He saw all that he had made, and behold, that it was very good. And there was evening, there was morning, the sixth day. Thus the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. By the seventh day God completed his work which he had done, and he abstained on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because on it he abstained from all his work which God created to make. It's an interesting thing that he actively made the choice to not make something on the seventh day. God is an all-powerful being that has unlimited energy, unlimited wisdom, unlimited everything, and even he took a rest. And maybe that rest isn't necessarily to regain energy, but maybe that rest is to sit back and marvel at all that he has created, to give it time to breathe. And so he sanctified it. He essentially said, man, that rest day, that seventh day, you got to take your time with all the stuff he created. Okay? These are the products of the heaven and the earth, when they were created on the day that Hashem God made earth and heaven. Now all the trees of the field were not yet on the earth, and all the herb of the field had not yet sprouted, for Hashem God had not sent rain upon the earth, and there was no man to work the soil. A mist ascended from the earth and watered the whole surface of the soil. And Hashem God formed the man of dust from the ground, and he blew into his nostrils the soul of life, and man became a living thing. Nostrils. I didn't know that. It's kind of cool. Okay. Hashem God planted a garden in Eden to the east. By the way, this is the first time that he's given any location a name, and the way it's written here is just kind of like in Eden, as if it had been mentioned before. There was not a time when God gave this land and God named this area Eden. No, it was just Eden. Okay? Hashem God planted a garden in Eden to the east and placed there the man whom he had formed, and Hashem God caused to sprout from the ground every tree that was pleasing to the sight and good for food. Also the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and bad. A river issues forth from Eden to water the garden, and from there it is divided and becomes 4 headwaters. The name of the first is Pishon, the one that encircles the whole land of Havilah, where the gold is. The gold of that land is good. The Bedolach is there. Okay, see, now we're getting into words that I don't know anymore. I have to look that up. And the Shoham stone. I'm probably mispronouncing a lot of this stuff, but you know what? I'm doing my best. The name of the second river is Gihon, the one that encircles the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel, the one that flows towards the east of Assyria. And the fourth river is the Euphrates. Okay, I know the Euphrates. That one I'd heard of. Why is that the only river that I've heard of? Are the other rivers still a thing? Is Euphrates the only one that's... Wow, Euphrates is a biblically named river. I guess the Nile is too. I think I knew that. Hashem God took the man and placed him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to guard it. And Hashem God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and bad you must not eat thereof, for on the day you eat of it you shall surely die. Hashem God said, it is not good that man be alone. I will make him a helper corresponding to him. Now, Hashem God had formed out of the ground every beast of the field and every bird of the sky, and brought them to the man to see what he would call each one, and whatever the man called each living creature, that remained its name. That's a lot of responsibility. And I think maybe platypus could have maybe taken a little longer to name. How that would take so long. I would imagine by the 50th fish, Adam was like, "Oh God, okay, let's come back to the fish tomorrow. Let's move on to the birds or something." Honestly, I'm kind of hungry. Let's have some of these round things. Apple, I don't know, whatever. Sure, we'll call it an apple. And this is orange. So it is an orange. I didn't know that he asked the man to name everything, that God didn't do it himself. God only named the light and the dark and the heaven and all that stuff, but he didn't name, I suppose, because the man is the ruler of those things. Okay. Let's read on a bit more. And the man assigned names to all of the cattle and the birds in the sky and to every beast in the field. But as for man, he did not find a helper corresponding to him. So Hashem God cast a deep sleep upon the man, and he slept. And he took one of his sides, and he filled in flesh in its place. Then Hashem God fashioned the side that he had taken from the man into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And the man said, "This time it is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This shall be called woman, for from man was she taken. Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and cling to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Wow. They were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. Whoa. That's an important thing. Also, flesh of my flesh. I didn't know that's from here. I've heard that before. And this shall be called woman. And therefore man shall leave his father and mother. At this point, he didn't even have a father and mother. Other than God, I guess. God would be his father and mother, right? Because at this point, there had been no lineage. He's the first man. And he must cling to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And wife is a very specific term. Why would that even exist yet when there is no need for a commitment to one another in a land where only two people exist? Wow. To define that so early, that is quite interesting. You know what? I think I'm going to stop here for today. They were both naked, the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. That feels like foreshadowing. He's like, hey, they were not ashamed yet. It feels like shame comes later. It's almost as if this book was written at a time when shame was already like a thing. So you could indicate like they weren't shamed. They weren't ashamed yet. Like for some reason that it implies some sort of time that there will be shame. And the fact that they were naked. Again, clothing had not yet been invented. Everything was naked. A lot of questions. This was so interesting. I am so excited. Man, I am not very far. But you know what? Until next time, I think I'm going to call this Show and Teller Torah Time. Do we like that? Show and Teller Torah Time. Yeah, why not? Thanks, guys.